East Africa will be hosting the African Cup of Nations 2027, and there are lessons to learn from South Africa hosting the World Cup 2010, and of course that and so much more. My name is Brian. Welcome to Brianetic Sports, and I'm here to discuss a few things really to do with how we are going to be preparing for the tournament that will be on in 2027. There are lessons to learn because South Africa is an African country. It hosted the biggest ever tournament on the African continent, and they really did it very successfully. What are the things they considered? What are the things they predicted? And what are the things that they really went wrong on? That is what we are here to discuss, and so much, man. Of course, one of the things that I can say, there was so much money that was put in the infrastructure, an investment of over around it is 39.3 million rands. That is about 5.1 billion US dollars that was put into hosting. That included construction of new stadiums. Of course, the infrastructure as well. They constructed over 6 new stadiums and upgraded the existing ones as well. But also the road networks, the railway network, and all the other transporting systems and air transport as well were worked on. So that is how much that was invested in this whole tournament. And of course, there were a lot of improvements, especially in all those networks as well, because you needed to have the perfect. You had a flock of people coming in from around the world, from Europe, from Asia, from America, and all those continents in there. So you needed to really be perfect and be able to handle the amount of traffic that really was coming in. And of course, for East Africa here, one of the lessons that we learned from there, like we've seen the countries do. Kenya is constructing new and improving the already existing airports in there. Tanzania is constructing new airports in there and improving already the existing ones. Uganda as well, constructing a new one already. It's under completion, the Hoima International Airport, and also improving on the Entebbe International Airport, trying to really see that the terminals and all the work that is there can handle the traffic that really comes with such a big tournament in there. And of course, the other thing is that we need also to have multiple or usable facilities that really don't stop at this tournament, because we saw this in South Africa because some of the stadiums were specifically done for the World Cup, and after the World Cup there are so many of them that really are lying idle and they were degraded in one or another. So I talked about it in my previous videos with the multi-purpose stadiums in there having other sports discipline being incorporated. Really, it makes a little bit of a worthy investment, because if you don't have football today, then you might have athletics championships next month. The other day, Rwanda had cycling competitions in there because of the good infrastructure. Then you might have different sport disciplines coming in, which really makes it very important to have in there. And of course, the budget management in Uganda here, I think things to do with corruption and a misuse of money is one of the things we need to fight. So we need to really look at that and see that we really at least prevent such scenarios, because those are the things that really kill off the tournament and also make it. So the early planning is something very crucial. We need to plan in advance. Already the plans are underway, but we need really to plan for every single bit of that is at this tournament. And of course, the other thing as well, when you look at the economic impact of the World Cup 2010 to South Africa, I think South Africa, it was, I think, something like around 3.64 billion that was generated, especially in this tournament. That was really massive. Tourism really was something that really was an icon over this whole tournament. So during the tournament and after the tournament, it also created the jobs, because all these amenities, all these activities, all these places that have been worked on really need workers, and South Africa really had to employ its nationals. So it is one of the things that created a lot of jobs. A lot of people here in Uganda, because it's a campaigning period, are talking about job creation for the youth. I think this is the right time really to look at such sport disciplines creating. We don't have to employ people from abroad really to study and understand all the technical bits of what what a tournament like this is all about. We need to have people that are locally trained, people that are really scouted locally to really be part of this. And that happens, of course, to the three countries. Kenya is a smart country, better than Uganda and Tanzania technology-wise. So that is where we need really to focus. If you're Kenyan, Uganda here, I think we are people that know how to do hospitality. So we need to look on those sectors and see how we create, the best when it comes to hospitality, not the basic, gorillas that we see on the airport. Those are basic things. We need to really go and dive. We dive so deep into what hospitality is all about and give this tournament 100% because it leaves a lasting impression on the people that are coming here. And of course, you all know that sometimes the challenges that we saw in South Africa, cost overruns, whereby the initial budget was significantly exceeded where we expected whether to spend 1 billion, they spent 2 billion, because sometimes there are things that you cannot 100% estimate. Sometimes there are things that change, the international currencies change, a lot of things change. If you've been into logistics, then you know that you can never estimate everything. There are a few challenges that might come in, delays will come in, natural causes. I saw some of the constructions of some stadiums being hampered by the winds that are coming in from some coastal town. So it was really very challenging, and you need really to plan all this and put a provisional budget really to see that these costs really do not overrun everything. But of course, there's also economic disparities whereby the benefits may not be evenly distributed. I will give you an example. Kampala might benefit, but how about Hoima and all the other regions in there? So sometimes it's challenging because the environments where these tournaments are hosted, if it's in Nairobi, just like you see, Nairobi has 3 stadiums, the Benjamin Mkapa, the Kasarani Stadium, the Talanta Sports City. You'll see that different parts of Kenya do not benefit the same way as compared to Nairobi, which really leaves a lot of those. It's a development gap that really comes between the two because of the infrastructure in there. East Africa, we need to really look at inclusive growth, whereby we develop policies that ensure that there is equitable distribution of all the economic benefits across all the regions as well. We need also to diversify investments, where we look at investments in sectors that are beyond just tourism, sectors that are really supposed to be supporting really the whole tournament in general. I'll give you an example, agriculture, whereby since we have a flock of people coming in 2027, we need to have the best food. We need to have food in plenty. We need to look at things like technology as well. How are we going to really use technology to maximize the gains that come with hosting such a tournament? So it's something that we need to really look at in order for us to create a resilient economy in there. There's also the talk of how we create a legacy. Because now I'll give you an example. After the tournament, South Africa created one of the most outstanding, I think there's no country in Africa that has created a legacy as South Africa. Even countries in Europe, even all the countries that have hosted the World Cup, South Africa still stands out as one of the best countries that have really put up a very good tournament. So you remember the strike over stadium, the Moses Madibida Stadium, really not being used after the tournament and it degrading, like there is nothing that will really be done in there. So it was one of the biggest stadiums that was built, but really not utilized to the maximum. So we don't want to look at these tournaments as a burden after they are done and leaving high costs of maintenance, leaving challenges when it comes to really making them up to running every single day that comes by. The maintenance cost is one of the few things that, of course, has hindered South Africa on a daily basis. They need to find teams that are playing there that really are going to be meeting the general cost that comes with it. That is why I'm not a fan of big stadiums, because yes, they're good for the tournament, but not good for that because of the challenges that come with maintenance. There is also, like I told you, the only solution is using multi-purpose stadiums and creating such stadiums that really can be used for anything. Then also they need to engage the communities around to understand the beauty of having such facilities, and also engage them with ideas. How should they maximize them? Even in the design phase, they need to sit down and ask the communities what they really love to see in such, facilities, because when you don't involve the community in such facilities, they'll feel like it's not something that they own. But when they understand if there's a certain kind of sport they are familiar with in the region, it must be inclusive in there, and there must be ways of really improving it and also making it acceptable by the people that really come into those regions. So I think that is one of the few things. The other thing that we need to look at, South Africa had a security threat, especially prior to this tournament, because you all know there's a lot of issues to do with, thieves and all that stuff, gun violence and all that stuff. But I think, if you ask me, it was one of the most secure tournaments that we've ever seen, and that was something that took pre-planning. They involved everyone. They really employed a lot of security personnel in every division and at all levels. Security was not just about the policemen, but it was about the technology and everything that happened in there. So I really think that they need to really go, first of all, and do a risk assessment here in East Africa. They really need to look at what kind of threats should you expect, prior to the tournament. So that is something very crucial. What do you expect as a threat in Kenya? What do you expect as a threat in Tanzania? What do you expect as a threat in Uganda? Because different regions, different people, different threats. And if you anticipate the threats, it is very easy for you to curb it and make the tournament a little bit more effective in there. And of course, there's also the social culture impact, because you all know that these tournaments are really supposed to be a place where you showcase your national pride. So we need to look at Uganda as a nation. What do we treasure as our national pride? What are the things that we look at as topmost that are supposed to be showcased in such a tournament? And I've seen countries like Rwanda, I've seen countries like Kenya, I've seen a lot of countries. I'm not talking now from an East African kind of view, I'm talking from an Ugandan kind of view. We really need to find that one thing that really makes us Ugandan, that if someone looks at us, they know that is Uganda, they will understand us, and really they will take us, because we are looking at a lot of things. We're looking at tourism, we're looking at the tradition as well, but we need to find something in each that really makes us sold out there, and really that is one of the things that we need to really look at. And of course, that was seen in South Africa, their cultural heritage, their tribes, the Zulu and all that stuff. It was something that really left a big impression on the world out there. And of course, the other thing is that usually some communities, when it comes to such tournaments, are displaced because of such tournaments. You will find that some zones are no-go areas because you cannot have everyone access them because of security purposes and because of the amount of people that are coming to us. So it is something that we need to look at as government. The tournament must be there, but people that are really nationals of a country like Uganda should not feel out of, because it will create a rejection of such a tournament, because people will be biased if at all they are affected. For example, we've seen it in Uganda when the Queen came to Uganda here some years back. I think it was for the Chogam, it was for, I think, the Chogam, yeah, it was for Chogam some years back, I think in the 2009, I don't remember very well, but a lot of people were displaced because they had to go off the roads. They had to create those safe zones where, it was troublesome, and people didn't like the whole event because it was really affecting their social lives and their daily as well as the income in there. And of course, East Africa, we need to understand how to really develop our communities and empower them in one way or another. So looking at all that and looking at how we can really make ourselves better, I think South Africa